Okay, sir, it is 6:30.
I call this meeting to order for July 28th, 2020. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Richard Boss,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nadia Sykes,
Here.
Commissioner Sharon McDonald,
Here.
Commissioner Josh Reardon,
Here.
Commissioner Susan Payne,
Here.
Commissioner Dusty Wright,
Here.
Commissioner Jason Baldwin,
Present.
City Manager Brian Caesar,
Here.
City Attorney Patria Bengoshe.
Here.
The clerk is present. Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Rachel. If everyone would please stand for the invocation, which will be given by Commissioner McDonald. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Wright will lead us in that.
Lord, thank you for your mercy, for life, health, and strength. As we face these uncertain times in our nation and world, we are comforted by you. Give us the wisdom to know what is right and the courage to do it. Your light and your truth will guide us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
To the flag of the United States of America,
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Lamont. Thank you. We'll move on to approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Payne to approve the agenda. And did I hear a second from Commissioner
I'll
Baldwin?
second. Yes.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes 7-0. On the presentations, when we have a presentation up on the 100% Otero, fighting childhood trauma and improving the health, safety, and success of children. We have with us this evening Lisa Yale, APS Director of Health Services, and Peg Krim. Ladies, good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. This name confusion, I don't want to get hung up on it, but Lisa Patch was before the City Commission on March 10th and gave a presentation to the Director of Health Services. I am not, but we are working together on this 100% Otero project. And my compatriot Peg Krim is here and we have a presentation for you.
Oh, is the PowerPoint coming up or? You're muted, Rachel.
Yes, so you were going to, I was going to share my screen, or you could go ahead and present, and you can move along, however, at your speed.
Okay, you want me to share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Or,
Yes.
okay.
While they're getting that shared, I'd just like to say that this initiative started when we read a book called Anna H. 8. And it asks the question, how numb are we to news about childhood trauma, whether it is murder or suicide? And we wanted to not be numb to this. We want to reduce childhood trauma, whether it's murder or suicide or just the stress of the trauma itself. So that is the way this initiative started.
Okay, do I have that right? Can you all see it?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you all for allowing us to come tonight and talk to you about this initiative. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Peg and I worked for the Forest Service for about 30 years here and I'm now retired. And my co-conspirator Lisa is retired from the Alamogordo Public Schools. Now, if I can make this move forward like I want. So I'm starting out with a quiz question for you all, since we've mentioned that Lisa Patch visited you guys in March, and she talked about ACEs and about their community school. So who can tell me what ACEs stands for? ACE. Don't be shy, you guys.
Education, something community education, I don't remember.
Adverse child.
Oh, is it?
What's the third one? Adverse child
Experiences.
experience. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
Okay, adverse childhood experiences. What do you think some of those might be? What would be an adverse childhood experience?
Physical abuse.
Yep,
Any
Sexual
sort of
abuse,
sexual abuse.
neglect.
absolutely. So there's all sorts of things that are considered to be adverse childhood experiences. So the researchers have found that children that experience 3 or more of these ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences, are less likely to be successful in life. They're going to have a lot more challenges. Life's going to be a lot harder. So in New Mexico, what percentage of our children do you think experience 3 or more adverse childhood experiences? What are some guesses?
70.
70%. Okay, any other guesses?
25%.
Well, you're
Say
pretty
half.
close. Well, we're all over the board there, but actually the mayor was the closest. They say that about 1 in 20, or I mean 20%, 1 in 5 of our kids experience over three or more ACEs. So what does that mean? Well, there's lots of consequences if their childhood trauma is untreated. There's all sorts of things. Now you may look at that and say, well, boy, I was lucky, man. I only had 2 or 1 or even 0. Or, you know, well, I don't know anybody that's had all those. But the problem is, even if we didn't have a lot of childhood trauma, all of us are directly or indirectly affected by it. It might be that we're an employer who can't find responsible employees to work for us. It may be that we have a higher rate of crime in our community than we need to. And maybe we're paying more in taxes to supply services to for all these things. But either way, it's affecting all of us. There's some long-term physical effects. I was surprised when I read some of them. It wasn't things I was expecting, but there are several. And then there's also, the research has shown that kids who experience a lot of stress from having a lot of ACEs, their brains actually develop differently than children who develop without the stress of childhood trauma. So that's the bad news. The good news is that with adequate support systems in place, some of those children that are under a lot of stress can still develop normally. So that was another surprise to me to learn that it can actually affect how their brain develops. This is a video. Since we don't have time tonight, I'm not going to show it to you, but literally if you have a minute and a half, please take it and watch this video about childhood trauma. So the question for tonight is, what are we going to do about this? What is Otero County, Alamogordo, all of us, what are we going to do about this childhood trauma? Well, the good news is, and I have to give all the credit to Lisa. Lisa was the first person I knew to read the book, Anna, Age 8. And she encouraged a lot of others of us to read it, which we did. And so a lot of us came together and said, we really need to do something about this. So the book, Anna, Age 8, it's a short book, it's a quick read, and it puts out what the problem is. What are the issues? What goes on with childhood trauma? Well, you know, you read that and you say, we got to do something, but where do we even start? What do we do? Well, the good news is these authors, Catherine Ortega, Courtney, and Dom Capello, who are New Mexicans and have worked a lot with child services in New Mexico. They also wrote a book called 100% Community, which is a roadmap. It's a plan. It tells us exactly what to do in our community to reduce childhood trauma. Both of these books are free for downloading, and so I wanted to put in here for you the links so that you can download those. Please, if you have time, download Anna Age 8 and read it. And then if you're interested in specifically what we're doing with 100% Otero, that's in the 100% Community book. So our plan, it will be research-based. The research, statewide, national, even international research about childhood trauma. We're going to use local data specific to our area. It will be custom made for Otero County, made by people who live here and care and have a stake in it. And we will be building on existing programs. There's a lot of great programs out there. You know, we have CHINS, we have COPE, Susan Payne has Love Inc. All these things are doing great work. And we just want to help them be more effective and make sure it's all coming together for to support our communities, that we really have a safety net for our families. Oh, what we'll be looking at is filling any gaps in the services or in any things that make it hard for people to access those services. So it's all about really cooperation and coordination. And so that's why we're calling our tagline is weaving it all together. It's all based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I'm assuming most of you saw in a high school or college psychology class. You know, you can't be thinking about being a good person and being the best you can be if you're worried about if there's going to be food on the table that night or if you have a safe place to sleep. So we're starting at the bottom of the pyramid and working up. How do we do that? We're going to have 10 action teams. 5 of them are the surviving teams, the basics that you need just to live, and 5 of them are the thriving teams of starting to give people additional help to be successful.
The whole
How are we
idea
going to
is that,
measure? Whoops.
the whole idea is that if families have access to these 10 services, then we will eliminate the trauma that has developed as a result of not being able to access them. This is not about income level, but because people of all incomes can experience these kinds of traumas.
Thank you, Lisa. How are we going to measure it? Well, we have a list of all the good things that we hope to see increasing. And we have a list of some of the things we want to see decrease. All sorts of things that will help our community be a stronger and better community. Our timeline, well, it was late in 2019 when Lisa got us all to read Anna Age 8 and get started. Earlier this year, we created a core team or a steering committee. We have a great group of about 10 people on that from various different agencies, different parts of the community, and we're working to get things going. On March 10th was when Lisa Patch from Alamogordo Public Schools talked about the community school program and Launchpad Academy. And the next morning was when we had our first public kickoff. We had a coffee and conversation at the First National Bank, and we had almost 50 people in the room. And it was really great. There's a lot of information sharing, a lot of connections made, all of that. We were all getting excited about working on this and eliminating childhood trauma. And then, of course, that afternoon was when our world shut down for COVID-19. So that kind of set us back on our heels a little bit, but we did get going again. And there's probably about 20 of us who have, we all learned to Zoom like you. And we kind of did a book club to get through 100% Community, because this one is not a short, easy read like Anna. This one is like 600 pages. So we had book club meetings. So we all read through, how do we do this? What do we do? What's the blueprint? What's the roadmap? So now we're working on that, of implementing things. And the first thing is our action teams have started to meet, a few of them. and we're beginning community outreach, doing things like we are tonight. This fall, we will be conducting a community survey to find out where are the connections missing to make all these services available to people.
And
We'll
in the
share all that
meantime-
data from the survey.
And in the meantime, we're collecting all the data that already exists. So if you're familiar with the health assessment exam, survey, we're utilizing that information along with a lot of others from different agencies. So it's not that, we do mean that this is going to be local, based on the local situation.
Yep. Once we get the information from the survey, we will share it with the community. You know, a couple of months ago, I would have told you we were going to have a big community meeting at the Civic Center or something, but obviously we won't be doing that. So we'll figure out some other way to do it. And then once we do get that information from the survey, though, the different action teams will look at their area of expertise. They'll see what's missing, what they think they need to do, make some proposals, implement the project, and then we'll look at it again, see was it successful? If it was, yay, keep doing it, keep going. If it wasn't, they'll look at other possible actions to implement and see what they can do. So we're not here to talk about money tonight. That's the good news, because I know there's not a lot of money out there and available these days, but really it's about using the current money that these organizations and everybody has, you know, making sure we're using it efficiently. So we're not here begging for money tonight. That's good news, right? So how can you guys help? Well, the first thing is to become informed about it, which you're already doing and have done, whether it was with Lisa's talk this tonight, if you download the Anna Age 8 book and watch the video. We do have some people from the city staff that have volunteered to work with some of our action teams, so we very much appreciate your support for them, and we look forward to continuing the partnership, working on that. We hope you'll encourage the participation in the survey this fall when we get to that point. And if any of you are interested in becoming an action team member, just let us know. We'd love to have you and have your expertise on those action teams. And then the last thing is, over time, we hope that this initiative becomes institutionalized. It just becomes how our community does business and does these things, so that you don't have to have these two old retired ladies running around nagging you about this stuff. So we look forward to that day too. If you'd like to join us, here's my contact information. Please send an email, a text. I'm not very good at answering my phone, but I'll try. And I guess tonight I'm going to leave you with a question. And the question is Otero County and Alamogordo, the city of Alamogordo, is our community a community that says it's okay that 20% of our kids are going to have a rough time and maybe not even make it, not be successful? Or are we the kind of community that wants to give 100% of our kids the opportunity to be happy, healthy, safe, and successful?
I think as close to 100 as we can get would be the answer.
Great, I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Peg. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa and Peg just, oh, by the way, Lisa and Peg have given me the opportunity to attend all the book club meetings and to be part of some of the teams. And things are really moving along well. There's a lot of enthusiasm. I think that once we get the survey going, Peg and Lisa, you're going to see a lot more participation. I'm really impressed with what you two have done, what you've accomplished. And I really appreciate the fact that there's light at the end of the tunnel here. So thank you. And thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
And let me just, I want to, if you don't mind, I'd like to piggyback on that real quick. Because I do think that this is really important. If one of the things that I've learned through, and I mean, I kind of knew this already, But one of the things that's really coming out is that we don't have good data here in our community. And we need to be better about that, because we can't solve the problem if we don't know what the problem is. And so this is why this is so important, and why I've also chosen to support it, because it's the first time that I've seen, and I've been running Love Inc. for 11 years, and I've been trying for 11 years to get nonprofits and city and everybody to work together to solve some of these problems. And so for me, it's really exciting, because I say, oh my gosh, this is what I've been talking about for years. So it's really exciting. But I do think that it's really important as a city that we take this seriously, because we don't have any data. And without that kind of really, it first of all would make us eligible for so much more, even if we had that kind of data. But second of all, we could solve some of these problems. And so what you're doing is a great first step towards that.
You're right, Susan. Thank you.
The idea of the survey that we're going to have is to find out what we're doing well and find out where the gaps are. We have a lot of good services in Alamogordo and in Otero County, but for some reason, people are not able to access them, whether it's the hours of operation, whether they can't get time off work, whether they don't have the transportation. And so we're going to try and identify those gaps in services, and each of the action teams will develop goals to address those gaps, working with the agencies that are already doing good work.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Do we have anyone that has called in for any public comment?
No, sir, we don't have any public comment.
Okay, we'll move on then to city manager's report, and that'll be given by Brian Caesar, our city manager. Brian?
All right, I have 3 relatively short items. The first is just a reminder that on Tuesday, August 4th at 1 p.m., and this is a virtual meeting, a Zoom meeting, we are having the public meeting on our ICIP, or the Infrastructure Capital Improvement Project Plan for the years 2022 through 2026. It's a meeting that we hold every year. This will be the first year that we're doing it, obviously, online. And further information can be found either on our city website or on our Facebook page. The second item.
I'm sorry,
Excuse me?
what time is that, Brian?
At 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Okay, thank you.
Second item, and this actually ties to item 6 on tonight's agenda, the temporary expansion for Applebee's for their liquor license. Right now, staff has the ability, if a business owner wants to sell alcohol at a, say, like the Balloon and Music Fest, we do not have to bring those items to commission for approval. For a regular liquor license, when someone, a business applies for that, those come before commission. We send out notices. It's a formal hearing. What Applebee's is doing, and actually another applicant came in yesterday, wasn't able to get on for tonight's agenda. What they're looking at is a temporary expansion of their license, so they can do the outdoor sales, not just of well, we don't regulate the food portion of it. We don't, for the state to approve the temporary expansion of a liquor license out into the parking lot area or the outside area of the business, the state requires the city to sign off on it. So what I want to do, or what I will do, unless there's an objection from the commission, is we will treat these temporary expansions like what Applebee's is coming forward tonight for, from here on out, as we do a temporary sale, like at the Balloon Fest. That way, we're not holding these businesses back for upwards of 2 weeks, waiting for a city commission meeting, so that we can expedite the paperwork as much as possible, and they can get it up to the state and get their temporary expansion. The last item, and normally, or I don't believe I ever have, commented on social media, but one of the more prominent local pages, there's been a lot of misinformation on that page. And I just wanted to give it a reminder, not so much for the commission, but to the public. And I will speak with Stephanie and Michelle tomorrow and see if we cannot get something out on our Facebook page and website. There have been a lot of individuals saying that city staff that we're going around, we're citing businesses for not requiring the wearing of masks, that we are holding back outdoor dining permits, that we're out citing for citizens not wearing masks in public. The city of Alamogordo, we do not regulate the outdoor dining permits. That's the New Mexico Department of Health. Now, they may be seeing a local person coming by, but that's a state employee, not a city employee. We have not cited any businesses. That there's at least one officer from the New Mexico State Police that has been specifically assigned for our area that is going around and checking the various businesses and restaurants and whatnot in Alamogordo. As for the enforcement of masks, so our police department responds to all calls that they receive. And if we get a call from a business saying, hey, we have a person inside the business that's refusing to wear a mask, we do respond to the calls. Our local DA has informed not only our police department, but the sheriff's department that they will not be prosecuting for the wearing of masks. If a city officer cited a person for not wearing a mask, that would not go to our municipal court, it would go to magistrate court. And the DA says that he is not prosecuting. What our officers have been doing is if they are having to respond to these type of calls, is informing the person or persons that aren't wearing a mask about the governor's orders. They're actually carrying masks to offer to those people. If for whatever reason the person or persons become belligerent, the business can request that they be trespassed from the property. So we would do that, or there are any other laws out there that could be disturbing the peace, or I'm going to get those wrong, and Richie's going to beat me up tomorrow about it. But the city of Alamogordo, we are not going out looking for people to cite. So I just wanted to clear that up, because on that, at least on that one page, there was quite a bit of misinformation and thinking that the city has much more authority than we really do. We are bound by the governor's orders just like any other business. The city of Alamogordo, we cannot say, okay, businesses feel free to open up. We're going to kick the state police out of Alamogordo and feel free to do business as usual. It's not, we don't have that authority. That's at the state level. The state trumps the city. So that's all I have.
Well, regarding that, can I ask you a question, Brian?
Sure.
Okay, let's say that tomorrow morning I want to go I'm going to go out and I'm going to open the city up. I'm going to let every business bring all their employees back and go to business. And I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to say nobody has to wear a mask. Patria, I want you to listen to this too, if you would, as our city attorney, because I want you guys to help me, because I've been told all day on social media that I can do this. I want you guys to tell me how to do it. If I want to go out tomorrow and open this city up, and contrary to the orders of the governor, tell me how to do this, because I'm getting all these people. I'm worthless because I don't do this. Nobody can find me. I'm hiding away and everything. So help me. I'm listening.
With all due
Patria,
respect to Mr.
I'll let
Mayor.
you take that one.
Yeah, with all due respect to Mr. Mayor, and I do say this with a great amount of respect for you, you didn't issue the order shutting it down. So you can't go in and and tell the governor that her order is invalid. You didn't issue the mask order, so you can't abdicate it. You know, the governor is the chief executive of our state. We are a political subdivision of the state as the city of Alamogordo. She has public health authority in the laws of the state of New Mexico, which were passed by the legislature 30 plus years ago. So, you know, she's getting her authority through the state health laws and the public health emergency orders. And she's the one issuing the orders. So we can't go in and say, we're not going to follow XYZ law. We can't, that's not something that the city's able to do. But
there's a lot of people out there that think I can. I'm catching a lot of heat because I haven't done that. You know, I have not made any, when I became mayor some 4 years ago, one of the things that I remember and that has been foremost on my mind is this is a non-partisan position, meaning that I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not an independent when I'm dealing with people or dealing with issues regarding to the city of Alamogordo. And I will tell you, I've bound myself to that. I've been asked by the Republican Party to do things and I've turned them down, not because I didn't want to do them, but because I felt like it would not look right. I'm getting bashed up now because I didn't sign a letter that Amy Barella had asked me to, where other mayors had, to set aside the face masks. You know, let me tell you what I have done. The thing, this is something that would have been worthless. If I signed this letter, it's worthless. As you've said, I can't do it legally. What I have done, together with Stephanie Hernandez, our assistant city manager, and Evelyn Huff, our director of finance, I think it was last week, we sat in this very room and had a meeting. The finance committee had a meeting in Cloudcroft that we were invited to, and we could either go up there or do it virtually, and we chose to stay here. And in that meeting, I asked them, I asked them why we were being, I don't know how I put it, but in other words, we're sick and tired of our businesses going out of business. The businesses that I brought up the fact that we brought 3 squad 16s in here. We had an economy that was growing, and now it's killed. And these people were listening. They really were, because the responses we were getting were very positive. Now that's something that I have done. Now I'm not the chairman of the Republican Party sitting back and trying to dictate to the city of Alamogordo what they should do. I tell you, those people listened to me. They really did. They don't listen to this bull, you know what. Anyway, thank you for that. So I'm not going to open the city up in the morning. And as far as face masks, I'm going to tell you, at first I didn't wear them. When the order came out, I started wearing them. I don't like them. They're uncomfortable. But, you know, in my life, I've seen doctors when they go into surgery and around patients put masks on. And those masks are for some reason. So don't tell me that they can't help and avoid this coronavirus. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse. Any comments? You're done, Brian?
Yes, sir.
We'll move on to remarks and inquiries by the City Commission. And I'd like to start that out, if I could. The New Mexico Economic Development Department, regarding the 2020 census, the final deadline to complete that is October 31st of this year. You can respond online, over the phone, by mail, or in person. The door-to-door operations were suspended because of the COVID virus, and now, but I think it's next week, they're going to be back active again, and they're going to be going door-to-door for people that didn't mail in their information. There's $800 billion in federal funds that will be distributed in communities across the nation, including over $7 billion per year to New Mexico. That's $7 billion per year. This funding supports roads, schools, healthcare, public safety, and essential service programs like supplemental nutrition assistance program and national school lunch program. Research suggests that every New Mexico citizen not counted in this census equates to $3,745 lost every year to our state. That's $37,400 or to our city, to the municipality. That's, if you, over a 10-year period, this person not counted, because we don't do it again for 10 years, that's $37,450. Now, if we have, you know, that's a lot of money. And if a lot of people are not filling out that paperwork to report it to the census, we're going to lose out on a lot of things that we might have had. We might have been able to better our parks. We have potholes. Maybe we could fill more potholes. We could improve some of our streets in the city. But I want to encourage everybody, please, this is so important. Last 10 years ago, when the census was taken, it was believed, I think, by most people that it really didn't give an accurate count of our community. We really need to get an accurate count of our community this year. So I encourage everyone, please, out your paperwork, or you can do it online, or if a person comes to your door, please cooperate with them and fill out the information. Anyway, any other commissioners have any remarks?
I got one.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Reardon.
Commissioner Reardon?
Yeah. You know, your comments earlier about the stuff on Facebook, you know, we could, you know, we could pass a resolution or do something similar to what Roswell was doing. I don't know if y'all seen that. I think it was last week or week before. Personally, I'm in favor of that. I agree with you. The mask, I don't think they work. I think they're using those to try to spread the virus, in my opinion. But we could, as a commission, you know, you as the mayor can't, us as a commission could put an item on the agenda, what Roswell did, and pass it as a group, and, you know, and say, hey, we're not going to enforce this nonsense anymore. You know, because when they first came on, they told us, you know, guys, it's for 14 days or a couple of weeks. We're all okay, let's do it, you know. And here we are, 14 or 4 months. We're like 4.5 months into this now. You know, and there's businesses that are shutting down left and right in our community.
I know that. I know.
Never open again. You know, and it's sad because some of these people have worked their entire lives, put every penny they've had into these businesses, and be gone, and they've got to go figure out where they're going to live, what they're going to do. And, you know, so I personally feel we should look at something like that. We ought to put a resolution or I'm not exactly sure how Roswell did, if they did it as a resolution or an ordinance or something.
Commissioner, I'm not going to do it, so you can put an item on.
Okay.
Put an item on the agenda just as I can.
Yes, I can.
What
certainly do it.
what
We'll
Roswell
vote on
did, sorry, what
Go ahead.
Roswell did is they passed a resolution directing the city manager in Roswell to not enforce the mask mandate, the governor's order.
The governor's order.
What I just talked about was what we're doing here in Alamogordo, and what you're asking to pass is something that we're already doing.
Yeah, but it makes more of a political statement if the governing body does it as a whole.
We're not a political body.
Right.
That it's very
The
clear.
governing body, sorry.
Governing body, yes, we're a
Yeah.
governing body, and that
Yes.
everybody forgets that word. We are not political. We are
Yes.
nonpartisan. That's what that means, Commissioner Reardon.
Night.
That's what that means.
Sorry.
Commissioner Payne.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Yeah, so I'm in a little bit of I'm not in a quandary. I know exactly how I feel about this, but I gotta tell you, I'm split, because I do agree with Commissioner Reardon in the sense that I'm very concerned about these businesses. I'm very concerned about our state. And I'm really concerned that our governor made the comment that she would go after elected officials who didn't adhere to her whatever. That's disappointing to me. And I don't think that she should have ever said it. And you know, she's not the first she's not the first elected official who said something that she regrets, I'm sure. And maybe she doesn't regret it, I don't know, but I vehemently disagree with her on that. Personally speaking, I vehemently disagree with the way that she has handled this situation. And I'm going to talk personally. I said, this is me, my personal feelings. I have some things that I want to throw out there, because I'm kind of to my boiling point on this whole COVID thing. But then I'm going to say something else after that. Okay. So this is me personally. These are my feelings. I spoke with somebody today that works for the Attorney General's office. She works in internet sex crimes against children. And she has told me that since COVID has started, her caseload has doubled. It's kind of ironic that we're talking about 100% community tonight. Her caseload has doubled since COVID started. I spoke with somebody else who works for Mesilla Valley Hospital. Their adolescent unit is maxed out. They can't take any more patients since COVID has started. Those are the things that really concern me. And again, it's sort of ironic that we're talking about 100% community. I hope you heard what I just said, because that is serious. I've talked to business owners that are not opening their businesses back up. So personally speaking, I think what she's doing is wrong. And I am beyond disappointed in her, because she has made the comment that if we cared about our citizens, we would wear masks. If we cared about our elderly, we would wear masks. I will say straight out, if we cared about our children, we would open the schools back up. If we cared about our children, our Health and Human Services Secretary would be paying more attention to the fact that the mental health hospitals adolescent units are doubling right now, that internet sex crimes against children are doubling. Now, having said that, Commissioner Reardon, I will say this. I represent all constituents, apolitical, right? We can all agree we are an apolitical body, and I represent all constituents. And as much as I completely, strongly disagree with our governor and her actions, and as much as I believe that there are ulterior motives, we represent all citizens, and we can't make a blanket statement that we need to come out with a resolution based on our personal feelings. And if I were to come up with a resolution that says we shouldn't enforce face masks, that would be my personal feelings. And I can't do that because I represent all citizens. And I will not take my direction off of keyboard warriors on Facebook. I'm just not going to do it. I won't even read that nonsense anymore. That is not where my direction is coming from. And if that, and I saw the other day where people were encouraged to send us emails. If they felt strongly about it, they were encouraged to send us emails. As a matter of fact, it was down to, here, I'll tell you exactly what to say. I got exactly one email, one. There were 20, 30 different people commenting on these posts, one email. They had no problem telling us we were trash. They had no problem telling us that we took our big paychecks and spent them for nothing, which I don't know where my big paycheck is. I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm not sure where mine's at. They had no problem saying all these things, but when it came down to writing an email to talk to your city representative, I got one email. That to me is disappointing. I do take this seriously. I agree with you. I think this whole thing it's devastating. It is crushing to our state. It is crushing to our community. And most importantly, it is crushing to our children. And what I was told today by someone in the mental health field, that they believe that the lasting effects on our children are going to far outweigh any effects from COVID. And that to me is disappointing. But again, I can't inject my personal feelings into this. To have a resolution that is number one, non-binding, and number two, really a waste of our time, because you and I both know that in the end, it's not going to do any good. You know, we're asking our police officers, you want to ask them not to enforce the face mask rule when the governor has ordered them to enforce a face mask rule. We're asking them to possibly put their peace officers license or whatever it is in jeopardy. I mean, those are the kinds of things, really, when you think about it, that's what we're asking them to do. And I'm just not willing to do that. So while I do agree with you on a personal level, professionally speaking, I think that unfortunately, we don't have the upper hand in this situation. We didn't tell them to shut their business down. I mean, we could tell them to open their business tomorrow. I say, open your business, right? But I can't protect you if the state comes in and does something different. And you and I both know that we can't protect them if they're not wearing a face mask and they get something. You know this, and we all know that. So
bottom line is, when's enough? When are the people going to stand up?
But you said it right there. When are the people going to stand up?
Well,
not us.
That's it.
But the people.
They want their representatives to stand up. That's one of the biggest things I've had is up north in Santa Fe. Everything I've seen, there has been, none of our representatives or our senators have really been vocal about this.
No.
Kind of how they feel because I've talked to them, but being an election year, everybody's scared to say, with the exception of Jim Townsend, I think it is on the other side of the mountain. He's the only one that I've seen that has been vocal about this. And Republicans, and I don't want to get Republican Democrat here, but I know they're outnumbered up there. And there's just no way to put a stop to this nonsense. We literally have our entire state shut down.
Commissioner Reardon, these Republicans that are up there know that they have got to deal with the other party. They know that there's going to have
That has
come up and
nothing
there's going to have to be
do with us as a
compromise.
city. It
And
has
that's why
nothing to do with
they're
us as a city.
afraid to speak. Susan, that was
Well,
Commissioner Payne, that was very well said. And I want to say I echo everything you said. You were so much more eloquent about presenting it than I am.
Well, guys, if enough of the smaller communities like us, Roswell's doing it, if we do it, if these smaller communities band together and stand up and say enough is enough, we cannot live our lives in fear for the rest of our lives.
What is Commissioner Reardon,
with
what
the
is
survival.
Standing together? What is standing together? What do we have to do?
Everybody
to be
doing
standing
the
together?
same thing. Everybody
So
saying, hey,
so why we go out and tell everybody to quit wearing their masks tomorrow? Is that what we do? And we do a
no, we do what Roswell did, and we say, hey, enough's enough. Guys, we can't. My thing is, we cannot live in fear the rest of our lives over a virus with a 99% survival rate.
We're not the only state. There's a whole lot of us that are in this situation.
I understand that, but like I say, when they started, and I don't want to argue with you, I'm just telling you my thoughts on this. When they started this, it was, hey guys, we need to flatten the curve. We need to do this for 30 to 45 days. And like I say, we're already 4.5 months into this. And I mean, it's ridiculous what they're doing, and I'm out in the public every day. I'm in people's homes. I'm at people's businesses. I hear the general public. It's not just my opinion. It is everybody I've talked to here lately and down in this area. And, I got a guy that just come back from, I think he was in Wyoming, and he says their entire state up there is sick of, it's nationwide, and it's a problem. The nation's trying to open. Our governor is stopping everybody from living. And, it's like, and I use this analogy today, peanuts are a danger to, I don't know the percentage, but they're a danger to a certain group of people. If they eat one, they'll die from it. That's the same thing with COVID. 99% of the people, or 98%, get it and they survive it and they move on. It's that 1 to 2% that get it and pass on. We've got 627, I think is what it was, deaths in our entire state out of 2.1 million people. The numbers don't add up. And
They don't add up.
I've got a gentleman who works at the hospital up here I talk with, and he says we have 40 positive cases in our hospital up here. There's 127 in Otero County. Nobody knows where the remainder of those are. The numbers just do not add up. And that I'm frustrated with it, guys. And I think some of you guys are too. It's, we want to go back to the way we were before. But I just think as a city, as a governing body of the city, we choose to do that. We can say, hey, we're going to ignore your order. And if Otero County and the sheriff on board with us, we would have the authority to do that.
But can I ask you one question regarding that? If we were to do that, and I've thought of this, do you think maybe down the road, we know that our governor is going to be in at least 2 more years in office, correct?
Yes, we
Be there
do.
2 more years?
Well, hopefully not.
We're
But
down here, we have enough trouble down here in the South corresponding with the people up in Santa Fe anyway. Do you think that anything we want, we've at least gotten some attention before all this of the governor by meeting with her when we talked about the things we needed for our dam and the things we needed for certain things, and we did get some help. We really did. And do you think we'll get that help in the next 2 years if we do that? And like you say, it will mean absolutely nothing in the long run.
Well, but we can't.
Where a new road or a new highway will mean something.
We can't base our decisions off of the repercussions that may or may not happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. We certainly can.
So we bow down because we're scared that they're gonna retaliate against us.
I don't
For,
We're
think it's
not bowing down, Commissioner Reardon. We have no
it is.
control over this. We've already heard that.
But-
We can't by writing a letter is not going to change the situation one bit. There is still the law, the law of the land right now has given to our governor, and she has that authority, 100% authority to do exactly what she's doing. Us disagree.
Well,
I
but see,
agree with 99% of what you've said tonight. The bottom line is there's nothing we can do about it. Absolutely nothing.
yeah, I beg to differ. I think we could, as long as we got Otero County and the Sheriff's Department on board. I was in Cloudcroft this last, it was weekend before last, and I was talking.
You know what? Otero County and the Sheriff's Department ought to be the ones that are doing this, because supposedly that what I've heard is the sheriff is the ultimate law enforcement authority in this.
He is.
In New Mexico. Why not go to them? They're the ones that should start it. They should come to us.
They have. That's where I was going with this. I was in Cloudcroft, and they had a state police officer that was up there harassing every single business up there. He would go into the restaurants once they were allowed to open, and he would count the patrons. If they had one too many people in their restaurant, he would cite that owner. And business owners up there got together with the mayor and them, and they said, you know what, it's time to put a stop to this. And David went up there and put a stop to it. From what I heard from the patrons in this one establishment up there, he threatened, if you do not quit harassing these people, we will arrest you. And he's told that officer that, and he put a stop to it. So the sheriff's office needs us and the county and everybody to get behind them. It's just like the one up in Bernalillo County, I think it is, that's standing on the feds to come in and help them get the rioting and stuff under control. He's asking for help, and they're asking him to resign over that. He needs people behind him. But that's just my thoughts on it.
I'd like to interrupt. I'm almost going to call a point of order here. First of all, I'm embarrassed that this commission is bashing the governor of New Mexico. Based on the numbers, Josh, based on the evidence, based on science, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham has put the state of New Mexico in a much better light than the surrounding states based on all of the cautionary mandates that she's been putting out for the past 4 months. That being said, we are a nonpartisan body, and I'm embarrassed that this group is bashing the governor. Josh, you must be speaking to people that I don't even come across in Otero County. I didn't
get out in the public.
Just like Susan, I got no calls, I got no text messages, I got no emails. There is a faction of our community that believes strongly in wearing masks. There are business people in the community that believe strongly that keeping their businesses closed is precluding further disease. Our numbers have gone up every day. What is it, Josh, about 150,000 deaths that you don't understand? 150,000 Americans have died from COVID. I'm going to tell you something. We had a retired sheriff recently hospitalized in Las Cruces because of COVID. He was extremely ill. I happened to be driving down his street today, and I noticed a van delivering oxygen supplies. So I pulled over. I talked to him from the curb, and all he could say was, yes, he's on the road to recovery. Yes, his wife is on the road to recovery, but please wear masks. Please wear masks. The people you're speaking with apparently agree with you. I'm out in the community probably as much as you, and the people I talk to have the complete opposite view. They would rather be alive and have a business that could potentially fail than die. One more thing, the school system, APS, put out a survey. They sent out almost 7,000 surveys asking parents what version of the hybrid return to school model they liked. They got 1,000 of them back. Excuse me, they got 1,400 back, 1,000 of which said they are keeping their kids home for virtual learning. So you tell me, what do you want to do? Do you want everybody to get sick?
Nadia,
I
it's
say,
been 4 months, Commissioner Sykes, it's been,
if it goes on for
I've been
2 more
this-
years,
I've
I'd
been
rather
out in
go
it
live.
since day one, and Commissioner Wright has been out it since day one. No mask, just doing what we do. Guys, and I just crunched the numbers. I'm gonna round it down on the population. It's 2 million people in the state of New Mexico. It's closer to 2.1. 17,000 infected cases in New Mexico. That's 0.0085 of the population. That's not even a 0.5%. That's not even close.
That was your dead wife or your dead daughter or your dead mother, you might be thinking differently.
No, I wouldn't.
Easy now, Mayor Pro
Yes, we
Tem.
don't need to get heated
It's
like
easy.
That's just not right. And then as far as the deaths go, we got I figured at 650. I think that's a little high, and 2 million people again. It's 0.000325% of our population has died. You know, we have our entire state shut down and our entire economy. You know, I haven't seen the gross receipts reports. For some reason, I haven't been getting them. I bet we're hurting right now. And if they would allow us to open our businesses back up to full capacity, we wouldn't need any state money. And I didn't want this to get heated like this. It's time, guys. It's time to stand up, and it's time to say something. It's time to take action and get up and rolling again. You know, it's sad that people are passing away, but there's 65,000 people a year that die from the flu, and we have a vaccine for that. You know, so I'm done. I've made enough people mad here. I'm just saying how it is. So.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a few comments. Commissioner Baldwin.
Commissioner Baldwin.
So we find ourselves in a situation here where I don't think, with the exception of Mayor Pro Tem, that we don't really disagree with most of the comments that are being made here. But with these Zoom meetings and the fact that we don't really have any actionable items on the agenda, anything that we can really do to show the public that we are taking this seriously. I mean, we've had, what is this, our 5th or 6th Zoom meeting that we've had? Not being able to be together does put a kind of wedge in our ability to have the public there, have their public input. The fact that people are asking for emails and to contact their city commissioners, is a pretty valid point. Commissioner Payne, in reference to how we represent the entire population, basically hit the nail on the head. We need to have some kind of venue where we can actually, as a commission, sit and meet and openly discuss this, and not, throw out the nuclear bomb about, mothers and daughters and friends getting infected by this. We need to have a civil conversation. We need to talk about what our actual options are. Basically, we're being told by either social media, friends, or comments, small or short comments with staff, that we can do this, we can't do that. We watch what other communities are doing. We think we can do this, we think we can do that. We hear Supreme Court rulings on certain situations. I mean, we're just all over the map on the information here. And we don't have a way of openly discussing this because of the way we're having to conduct our meetings. So we need to have some kind of community meeting. I mean, even if it has to be a Zoom meeting, some kind of venue to say, we as a governing body, which we have already discussed, need to hear from the public. This is your chance as the public to start contacting your commissioners, your governing body, and let us hear from you and let us decide what steps to take from that point on. If you're out in the community, I mean, the golf courses, we were closed down for a month, and then we've been open ever since. The way that it's impacted my particular business, or GNL Golf's particular business, has been, pretty substantial. We see everybody from the extreme elderly, people who are extremely at risk, going out and taking the risk of just doing a recreational sport because of the way their life has been altered in the last 4.5 months. And the one thing that nobody ever talks about in these conversations, we did very early on, but there is personal accountability in all this. When you talk about people getting out and going in public and going to restaurants and doing business in the community, people are always aware of the risks. And now that the science is here, now that's in front of us, the people that should be protecting themselves need to protect themselves. The people that are potentially at risk, need to be protecting themselves. But my personal opinion is there's no reason why we can't function as a society. We shouldn't be completely shut down. We should be taking every precautionary risk, which I have not been in the business in Alamogordo in the last 4 months, that is not doing 110% to protect their business, their customers, not doing everything in their ability to protect people from this. But people need to understand that there is a risk the second they step out the door that they could potentially catch a virus that could kill them or their mothers or their daughters or their family. So personal accountability has been completely stripped away from us by the governor and these rules. So my frustration is, well, partly that, but partly because we as a governing body don't have a venue right now to actually get the input we need, get legal counsel, talk to our city personnel, find out what they want to do, find out what the public wants to do, and find out what we want to do. Because at some point, Commissioner Reardon is correct. We as a governing body need to do something for this community, whether it's to completely agree with the orders and say, this is the way we're going, deal with it, or we want to take a stand and make a statement and say, you know, be out there at your own risk, but we believe that we need to be going this direction. Not that anything can happen. You know, Mayor Boss is correct. We don't have the legal ability to do it, but I think it would be an important message, as Commissioner Reardon said, to stand together one direction or another. I don't know how we do that. I mean, we'll need some input, maybe some communication. We obviously can't have a community meeting in the public. Another reason it kind of divides us, doesn't give us the ability to find out, but there has to be something we can do. And I think we need to do it quick based on the comments I'm hearing today.
I got one more quick comment, kind of piggybacking off Commissioner Baldwin's. You know, maybe it's time that we just have a regular meeting. When we go down to City Hall, we keep our 6 feet. We got to wear a mask. We wear a mask, and put this Zoom meeting to bed and go have a meeting and allow 25% of the, you know, of the occupancy load of the City Hall down there to come to the meeting. And I mean, it's just, you can hear the frustration in people's voices when I talk to them about it. And I appreciate y'all's comments. I don't want it to get heated or anything anymore. I was just saying my piece on that. So,
Any other comments?
Just one real quick. I just,
Commissioner Payne.
Mayor Pro Tem Sykes, I heard what you said about the kids and Alamogordo Public Schools in the survey. Just for reference, there are over 6,000 students in the Alamogordo. What's that?
7,000.
Okay, 7,000. There are over 7,000 students in the Alamogordo Public Schools. That's just in the Alamogordo Public Schools. So 1,000 surveys suggest to me that there's a lot more work to do there to get an accurate idea of what parents want. And I still maintain that our children, our at-risk children, are in a lot of danger because of what we're doing and because of the way we're acting with this. And I'm really, I'm very passionate about this, and it keeps me up at night. And trust me, not much keeps me up at night, but this keeps me up at night. The way we're handling it, the way we're treating our kids, and the way we're neglecting the children of the state of New Mexico because we're concerned about everybody else but them. It really, really bothers me. And again, I agree with what Commissioner Reardon said in terms of my personal feelings, what Commissioner Baldwin said in terms of my personal feelings. I have a brother that had COVID. He was very, very sick. I didn't know if he was going to make it or not. And he said it was horrible, but he will be the very first person to tell you that he had an underlying condition and he knows that's why it was so bad for him. Real quick, my other brother lives in a nursing home in Las Cruces. There was one positive case for an employee and one positive case for a resident. One. Never got any more, and they were both asymptomatic. I get to the point where I'm not even sure about the tests anymore. That's how concerned I am about this whole thing. So I don't know how you can have a nursing home full of elderly people and have one asymptomatic elderly person and it not spread to anybody else. How you can have one employee and it not, how that even, I don't even know. And you're right, we need to move on. But just my point is that I agree with you, and we do need to to take a look at this, but I don't want to put our city manager or our police officers in a position where they have to do something they're not comfortable with, or something that could put them at risk legally. I'm very uncomfortable with that. And so if we can figure it out, we can figure it out. If Sheriff Black actually thinks he can make that happen, he ought to be here talking to us. I'm not real big on, I talked to somebody who said somebody else said something. He needs to be here talking to us about this. He's the one that needs to be here to say he'll do X, Y, and Z. Our state legislatures, you're absolutely right. Haven't heard hide nor hear from them. That I don't understand. That, you know, it's real, let's beat up on the city, but they represent us at the state level. They are our representatives for the city of Alamogordo, and we've heard nothing. And so those kinds of things concern me even more. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I have to say that because I am as frustrated as anybody. I'm very concerned about this. And I'm really, really concerned about seeing businesses that have been decades they've worked to build their livelihood, and it's all being taken away from them. And we want to say, you know, but we have to protect the citizens. Well, they're citizens too, and we're not protecting them. We're just not. So that's it. I'm done. We need to move on. I'm sorry.
All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Commissioner Wright has a comment.
Oh,
too.
I'm sorry. Oh,
For
Commissioner
the
Wright?
record, I want to put my 2 cents in there that I totally agree with all the discussion that's been going on with Jason and Josh and Susan. But there's so many more factors that we need to look at. I mean, we don't shut our state down over heart disease or obesity or any of these that have much, much higher death rates. And to go along with the kids situation, I've got 2 kids that are 8 and 11. And my ex-wife tested positive for this, and anyone she was around never had any symptoms. They all tested negative. My kids never carried nothing. I don't have any faith in the testing system, and I think we're destroying our entire economy over something that has a much lower death rate and a much higher survival rate than many other viruses or diseases or any of that. So that's my 2 cents. I think we need to move forward and get this thing going again.
If there's nothing else, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Would any staff member or commissioner like to remove any item from the consent agenda? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
So moved.
I saw Commissioner Payne. I have a motion from Commissioner Payne and a second.
I'll second.
From Commissioner Baldwin. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Jason Baldwin,
Aye.
Nadia Sykes,
Aye.
Josh Reardon,
He's not trying.
you're
Sorry,
muted.
I'm muted. Sorry. Aye.
Sharon McDonald,
Aye.
Dusty Wright,
Aye. Susan
Payne,
Aye.
Richard Buss.
Aye, motion passes 7-0. We'll move on to new business. Item 6, consider and act upon Applebee's request for temporary expansion of licensed premises at 1355 South White Sands Boulevard, Alamogordo, New Mexico. Do we have Mr. Wilson? We do. We have Mr.
Yes.
Wilson, Director of Operations, and Lisa Silcox, the Area Director, I believe, on the line with us. Good evening.
Good evening.
Does anybody have any questions regarding this of either of those people? If not, do I hear a motion to approve item 6?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Baldwin to approve item 6, which is consider and act upon Applebee's request for expansion of licensed premises.
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Wright. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes 7-0.
Mayor Boss,
Yes.
just real quick, in reference to what the city manager requested from us, just to make sure I understood. moving forward, Brian, these would actually be approved by you. If that's the case, would we not need to make that decision an actionable item on potentially the next agenda? I mean, I don't know
Patria-
that if it's something that actually has to come to the commission to approve, to give you the authority, wouldn't we need to make that an actionable item on an agenda?
Patria or Rachel might need to weigh in on this. The way that I'm looking at it is commission has given staff the ability to approve temporary liquor licenses like I explained for the Balloon and Music Fest
Sure.
or other events. This is, to me, sort of the same. It's a definitely more expanded time period, but this is a temporary expansion of their license to go out into the parking area because they can't do business inside right now. But Rachel, I believe Rachel spoke to the people up in Santa Fe, and Patria should still be on the line.
So yes, so the director of ABC of alcohol, back when, even before the VFW came to us, did let me know by email, the city, as long as you approve or disapprove, I asked, does it have to come before commission? She said it could be the commission, it could be the city manager. It just needs to come from the city of Alamogordo entity.
Okay. Well, if we don't, my only concern is with the way things have been going in reference to how they're enforcing the rules in reference to COVID with masks and so on and so forth. I don't want to give any agency any more ammunition against a business that we're, just trying to help stay in business and be able to come in and say, well, you didn't do it the right way. It's not treated as a picnic license. And my concern is that these people can do it comfortably without fearing any repercussions. So if we don't need to make it an action item, that's fine. I'm 100% for Brian and staff being able to make the decision. So thank you.
All right.
You already approved it.
We're moving down to item 7. We'll move to item 7, consider and act upon the approval of resolution number 2020-30, amending the preliminary fiscal year 2020-2021 budget with carryover fund balances and adopting the final budget for 2020 and 2021. Are there any questions? We have, I think Evelyn Huff, our finance director, is available if so. If not, do I hear a motion?
I'll move that we go ahead and adopt the resolution adopting the budget.
I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Sykes to approve item 7, which is approve resolution number 2020-30. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Baldwin. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Jason Baldwin,
Aye.
Nadia Sykes,
Aye.
Josh Rudin,
Aye.
Sharon McDonald. Sharon McDonald. We
Aye.
can't hear you.
You can't hear me now?
Yes.
Here we go.
Did she say yes?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes, I think she did. Yes.
Susan Payne,
Aye.
Richard Voss.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. We'll move on to item 8, consider an act upon resolution 2020-31, approving the DFA quarterly report for period ending June 30, 2020. Are there any questions? I believe we have Evelyn Huff, our finance director, available. If not, do I hear a motion to approve item 8?
I'll make a motion to approve item 8.
I have a motion from Commissioner Baldwin to approve item 8. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second from Commissioner Reardon. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Jason Baldwin,
Aye.
Nadia Sykes,
Aye.
Josh Rudin,
Aye.
Sharon McDonald, Dusty Wright, Susan Payne,
Aye.
Richard Voss.
Aye. Did everybody voted, right? 7-0?
I think so.
Okay.
Believe so.
Motion passes 7-0. If there's no further business for the good of the city, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a
So
motion
moved.
from Commissioner Reardon to adjourn. Who was the second? I'm sorry.
I'll second.
I have a second from Commissioner Baldwin. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes 7-0. We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.